What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at Gallagher. There's not really a lot of intricacies when it comes to this character's kit. Everything's very straightforward, so don't expect a lot of calculations here. But just for you guys who are interested in Gallagher, I don't want to leave my boy behind. Let's just do a little quick calculation video on my boy Gallagher, given that he is probably one of the better sustains for our girl Acheron, and they're on the same banner as well, so a lot of people are going to be pulling for him. So if you enjoy this type of content, let me know by commenting in the comment section below, liking the video, and consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, our boy Gallagher, he is a fire 4-star abundance character. I think the first of its kind. Yeah, the first of its kind. His basic is going to do fire damage equal to 100% of attack, generating 20 energy, pretty standard basic attack. He has an enhanced basic attack that deals 250% of attack and reduces the attack of the enemy by 15%. This is a debuff, and this is going to be important for the Acheron conversation. And then if he attacks an enemy that has another debuff that he inflicts, he's going to heal the entire party, regenerates 20 energy. I would have liked this to regenerate 30 energy instead of 20, but you know, you can't have it all. His skill is a single target heal for 1600 HP at level 10. It's just static. There's no scaling off of it. The only problem I have with this skill is that it doesn't have a cleanse. For the cleanse to be a thing, you're gonna have to get the E2. The good thing is that we get a free copy of Gallager in 2.1 at some point, and if you're pulling for Acheron, odds are you're gonna pull at least 2 or 3 copies of it, and you only need the E2. So 2 copies of Gallager is going to get you the skill that has the cleanse as well, so that's not that bad if you ask me, considering a lot of people that are pulling for Acheron are going to pull Gallager anyway. All right, the ultimate inflicts Besotted on all enemies for 2 turns. The effect of Besotted is that it's going to increase the break damage the enemy receives by 12%, so it's a vulnerability debuff for break damage and only for break damage. It doesn't include break dot, only initial break damage. At the same time, it's going to deal 150% of Gallagher's attack to all enemies, and it's going to enhance his next basic attack. So essentially, you're going to, once you ult, his basic attack is going to transform into an enhanced basic attack, and you're going to be able to do the 250% damage to the single enemy and inflict a secondary debuff. He also gains a turn after his ult, so it's kind of like Imbibitor Lunae at E2, so he ults, gains a turn. So that means that the ult into enhanced basic combo gives Acheron 2 stacks, because they're considered 2 different actions, which pretty much is the case for any ult, but just so you guys have that clear, he does give Acheron 2 stacks whenever he ults. He gets 5 energy back from the refund from doing the ult, so that's, you know, that's okay. It's pretty standard. His talent, which I already briefly went over, the Besotted state increases break damage that target receives by 12%. This is a vulnerability debuff, and every time a Besotted target is hit by an ally, the attacker's HP gets restored by 640. So essentially, this makes every target that has Besotted, makes it to where the healing is kind of like Luocha. So you know, Luocha has the field, and then whenever the field's up, whenever the target attacks, everybody gets healed. Well, this is kind of the same way, but it only heals the attacking character. The only way that he has an AoE heal, it's when he does his enhanced basic attack, because with his enhanced basic attack, whenever he heals a target with Besotted, it heals the entire team. The healing effect gets distributed to the entire team. And since you're going to put Besotted on enemies when you ult, every enemy is going to have Besotted, then you're going to gain a turn, which means that next basic attack is going to heal the entirety of your party. That is the only way you can heal the entirety of the party. The actual healing boost that this can give can get pretty high. This can heal like, I think 6,000. I think we're going to see in the calcs, because it is per target of Besotted that you hit. So had Gallager been a blast unit with his enhanced basic, he would hit 3 targets. He would heal an incredible amount of damage with his enhanced basic. He still heals pretty good, but I just want you to know that, like, for instance, if your Argenti is almost dead, and then you have Besotted on enemies and you do your AoE, Argenti is going to trigger the healing effect 5 times, because it's per target that has Besotted. So just clearing that up. Following on with the tech, you get Besotted on all enemies for 2 turns at the beginning of the battle, and then you deal 50% of Gallagher's attack to all enemies. The tech is it's okay. You know, it gets a debuff right off the cuff. It will get Acheron 1 stack at the beginning of the fight, which is pretty good. And then that means that the healing is also active at the beginning of the fight for 2 turns. And if you're doing MOC, for example, you're going to get your ultimate pretty easily. Like, the first 2 turns, you're going to get your ultimate. I'm going to segue into the rotation. He has 110 energy, and the rotation is kind of scuffed. If you put the energy recharge robe, which is the one that I'm going to recommend because of his dependence on the ultimate. On MOC, you're going to get his ultimate with the energy recharge robe in the first 2 basics, and you're going to be able to ult. He gains another turn, which means in the first turn, technically, he's going to basic. Second turn, he's going to basic. Then he's going to be able to ult. Then he's going to get a turn back. So in the first 2 turns, technically, you're going to get 30 energy back or 35 energy back because of your enhanced basic gives you 24 or something. And then you get 6 energy from doing the ult. So you're going to be at like 30 something. So you're going to need to skill once and then basic twice to get your ultimate again. And then after that, it's just pretty much the same thing. So the first rotation is basic on MOC, and then there on after, when you have your ultimate, once you do your first ultimate, it's going to be skill basic or basic skill basic. Pretty much one skill, 2 basics, and you're going to be able to ult. Because of him gaining that extra turn after he ults, it's a little bit more manageable to use his ult every 3 turns. And if you have the Eidolons that extend his besotted state for an extra 3 turns, for an extra 1 turn, making it 3, then you're going to consistently have the besotted state up, and you're going to be healing consistently. So he has a passive that increases outgoing healing by 50% of his break effect. This is really nice because, like, you guys know, I love double stats, and break effect kind of serves as kind of like a pseudo outgoing healing. So to max this out, to get 75% of outgoing healing, you're going to need 150% break effect, which it may seem like it's tough to get, but we just got a new light cone that makes it a little bit easier, and we're going to discuss that in a little bit later. He gets 28% effect res, and this is kind of nice because, like I said, if you're pulling for Acheron, odds are you're going to put a copy of Gallagher, and we also get a free copy of Gallagher, and his E1 makes it to where he just gets 50% effect res off the bat. So he's going to be at base at 28% effect res. 78% effect res, which is pretty high, which means he's very unlikely to get controlled, because he's one of those characters that kind of depends on him not being controlled, imprisoned, frozen, all that stuff. If he gets one of those effects, your healing is gone. Because he will lose a turn of his ultimate, and you're just going to throw everything out of whack, okay? He gets 13.3% break effect. I wish this would have been higher. I wish it would have been flipped. I wish the break effect would have been 28 and the effect res would have been 13, but you know, it is what it is. And then he gets 18% HP, which is kind of nice, okay? So that's pretty much his kit. Let's go over to the calcs really quick. Okay, so the important stats for Gallagher are obviously going to be speed, break effect. If you want him to do damage, but you really don't, you want attack last, but essentially you want speed, outgoing healing, and break effect. And this is why I have the total break effect column over here and the outgoing healing column over here. This table down here is going to be his skill healing at base, and then his skill healing total based on the amount of enemies. One besotted enemy, 640, and then all these are multiples of 640. Up to 5, which is the 5 besotted enemies when the AoE heal. Gallagher himself can't really trigger this unless he does his ultimate while the enemies already have besotted, which I don't know how that's going to work. He's just going to have to be super fast for this to happen. But there's a possibility where he can hit all the enemies with besotted on his ultimate. Actually, if you start with his technique, his first ultimate is an AoE heal, I think, now that I think about it. Yeah, because he's going to, the technique allows you besotted for 2 turns. It's a debuff on them. So if you're faster than them, you can get to the ultimate before they can get rid of the besotted. And that allows him to ultimate into an AoE heal into 2 more turns of besotted, if it makes sense. And then this over here, this column over here, is the skill adjusted for outgoing healing. So this number right here is the one inflicted onto this to get me this, if it makes sense. Let's go over his break effect sources. Trace, he gets 13.3. The light cone we're going to go for is going to be the new light cone. The light cone is called What Is Real. Is a free-to-play light cone in the, I think in the, what is it called? In the Memory of Chaos shop. It's a free-to-play light cone, and what it does is gives you 48% break effect at S5, and after using a basic attack, restore HP for the wearer by an amount equal to 4% of max HP plus 80. The amount of healing, plus 800, I'm sorry. I didn't really calculate, I didn't want to calculate HP and all that stuff, but it's not a lot of healing. The 800% HP, it's kind of significant, and if you have the higher your HP, obviously the more healing you're going to receive whenever you do a basic attack, and his kit is revolved around basic attacking and healing, so it kind of works out. That is probably one of his better light cones. Is the only light cone on the abundance path that gives him break effect, and that is the only thing that really matters with him, because everything that he does revolves around him breaking or having break effect, okay? So light cone gives him 48. I did 30 in subs because it's really easy to get 30% subs in break effect. I think 2 rolls is like 10 or 12 or something, so it's really easy. All you need is 3 relics with decent rolls, or all the relics with 1 roll, and you get 30% in break effect subs. The rope, I am not going to run break effect rope because I kind of need energy recharge rope so he can keep putting on the besotted state. 1, for him to be able to heal, and 2, because the more besotted state you can fire off, the more stacks Acheron is going to get if you're planning on using it over the Acheron. The relic set, 16% is just a two-piece of either of the two break effect sets that we currently have in the game. And then the planar set, I calculated it with the Talia Kingdom of Banditry, but you can do whatever here. I did Kingdom of Banditry because I like the 36% break effect. It makes it a lot easier to manage to hit the 150% break threshold. This one has 143, but I mean, everybody's going to have different subs. Everybody's going to have a different planar set. So this may vary. This is just bare minimum what I could find. If you're going to get rid of this and you're just going to use, I don't know, like Von Walk, or you're going to use Keel, for example, this is obviously going to be lower. I have the Ruan Mei column here because Ruan Mei gives you 20% break effect. If you have him S6, let me do Eidolon. Let me do Eidolon here. His Eidolon gives him 20% as well. So if you have him E6, he's going to get 20 more. So it just depends if you're running with Ruan Mei, which a lot of people are going to run a break team with Zue Yi, Ruan Mei, and Gallagher. I apologize for the dog. There's a dog back there that just wakes up and just goes ham for like hours, but I can't afford to spend hours waiting for the dog to stop barking. But I digress. Point is that bare minimum, he's going to be around here if you use the Talia Kingdom of Banditry. I know it's really hard to farm this set, and I don't blame you if you don't want to farm for it. But just know that if you use another set, you're probably going to have to get luckier on the substat rolls to make up for it. The outgoing healing sources here, the break effect passive, I already have it calculated here. So with 143% break effect, you're going to get 71.7 outgoing healing, which in my humble opinion, it's already enough. Like 71% outgoing healing, if we just put 0 on everything else here, it's already like good enough in my opinion, because the heals are very consistent as long as you can keep the besotted state up. But you want to run him, I think it's 32.4 if I'm not mistaken. You want to run him with outgoing healing chest, and I don't know if you have like another Lycon that increases outgoing healing. There's a bunch of those in the abundance path. It's literally what they do. It'll also be higher. The relic set, there is one relic set that gives you 10% extra. So if you have the two-piece break effect and two-piece relic set that with a 10%, you can add that in here, and it doesn't really increase it by that much. So I just think it's better to just run speed and just call it a day, because the actual difference is not that much. Okay, now 143% break effect is actually really decent, and I'm gonna take a little quick side stroll into break effect and break effect damage. All right, so break effect and break effect damage, it's not calculated the same way. So here I have this column called damage on break, right? And damage on break is the total damage done when the shield is broken for the first time. And if I click over here, it's going to highlight all the areas that are that affect that end damage. So the res multiplier and the broken multiplier, vulnerability multiplier, defense multiplier, and then your base break damage, if it makes sense. So those are the only things that affect actual break damage, and then that is going to be added to the attack or the actual damage that your skill did to trigger the break damage, if it makes sense. So that's why this number over here is this number plus this number equals this number. Let me briefly explain how base break damage works. So base break damage, you don't really see that number anywhere, but it's the base. It's the baseline damage that scales into break effect, if it makes sense. So it is only influenced by your level, which is this level multiplier. Each level has its own level multiplier. This is for level 80. So let me just put here level 80 so people just know. So this is the base level multiplier for level 80. It's 3767.533 something. This is a pretty long number. And then that gets multiplied by the toughness multiplier, which is only dependent on the enemy you're breaking. So every enemy has its own total amount of toughness bar, and depending how big the amount of toughness bar is, the toughness multiplier is influenced by that. The bigger the toughness bar, the higher the toughness multiplier. I'm not going to get into the intricate math about it, but this is the meme enemy, the latest meme enemy, which I think has the highest toughness damage. I believe, I didn't really check, but it seems really high, because before it was 640 and this is 720 toughness bar. So the toughness multiplier is 6.5, and essentially it's pretty easy. Use multiply toughness multiplier by the level multiplier, and you get the base break damage. Then the base break damage gets multiplied by defense, vulnerability, broken multiplier, and the resistance multiplier to give you the damage on break. And then the damage on break gets added into the skill used to trigger the break to give you your total break damage. So hopefully that kind of cleared it. Dot has its own formula, and it's essentially if you notice, it's the exact same thing as the level multiplier. So level multiplier times 1 is your base break for fire. That number goes to the same formula of rest multiplier, broken multiplier, vulnerability multiplier, and defense multiplier. The only difference is that the dot only triggers after it's broken, after the enemy's broken, which means it's not going to be using this broken multiplier. It's going to be using the 1 multiplier because the enemy is broken. So it deals a little bit more damage. At 143% break effect that we have here, this is the kind of damage you can expect him doing to the meme, the one that kidnaps you and stuff, which is pretty decent. 64k break damage for just a healing unit. I think it's pretty decent. The dot is 4k. Yeah, so you can get some decent damage out of Gallagher. That's 70k in the break instance on the meme. I mean, that's about 69,000 damage, which is about 11% of the meme's HP on just the break. It can definitely be the difference between you zero cycling and not zero cycling, or it could be the difference between you clearing in 10 cycles and not clearing in 10 cycles. 10% HP from a boss is actually a pretty good deal. Any of the zero cyclers can agree that 1%, 2%, 3% HP is it's pretty high. Like, it's pretty significant. It's literally the difference between you zero cycling and not, or clearing the stage in a timely fashion for you can get a 3-star or not. So obviously other light cones that increase outgoing healing are going to work. If you're just interested in him just as a healer, obviously there's other light cones, but none of them are going to really give him the bang for his buck, the design that he's intended for, the playstyle that is intended for him to be, other than the free-to-play light cone. I forget the name, but the Gallager light cone. We all know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I apologize. This video seems a little bit rushed. I have like a lot of stuff going on, which, you know, I'm not complaining. But yeah, I just want to put out a quick Gallagher calculations video for all of you who didn't know how he worked and how to optimize him. Again, remember guys, the speed, break effect, and outgoing healing are the best stats for him. But honestly, I would just focus on break effect, because break effect is going to give you outgoing healing, about 77% of outgoing healing, which is really good. Like, by itself is really good. I don't really think you need the chest, but I would put him with the chest just to have a good healing, because he is an abundance character in the first place. So healing is the most important thing. So you can run HP chest, attack set chest, or whatever you want to run. But I would just recommend running him on the outgoing healing chest. Speed boots. Yeah, you can do attack orb or HP orb. You can really much do whatever you want. If you want him bulky, build bulk. Very important, the rope has to be energy recharge rope. Otherwise, you will not be able to get his ult in a timely fashion. Stacking more energy recharge on top of that really doesn't matter, because you are overshooting the energy cap by about 3 energy every time. So you don't need any more. And if you take away, there's no happy medium there. You either have it or you don't. I guess you can run Von Walk and post-op conversation at S5, and that can get you close to it, I think. But just the easiest and fastest way to be sure, throw energy regen rope on him and call it a day. He should be fine there. But yeah, that's going to be the end of today's video, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And until next time, guys, see ya.